Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Skills and Abilities. This one might be a short one because the ability that we're going over today is Telekinesis. So Telekinesis is one of those abilities that most people don't put much thought into. It has the ability to pick up items like
Impossible.
gold and arrows and potions, but it doesn't have the ability to pick up items. If you guys have never noticed this before, you cannot pick up items with Telekinesis. This was something that people used to think a long time ago, and I don't remember if it ever did pick up items, but I know that it no longer does. So, keep that in mind when you think about Telekinesis in the future, that it does not actually pick up items. It'll pick up gold, it'll pick up potions, it'll pick up, I think, arrows and bolts, but for the most part, it doesn't pick up anything too ridiculously important. So what good is Telekinesis? Well, number one, you can open up chests. You can click on waypoints, which is pretty cool. You can do all sorts of interesting things with Telekinesis that you couldn't do by yourself. It can actually speed up your Magic Find runs considerably, especially if you're just running along and you see a chest that happens to be like over there. You can right-click on the stash. You can open up the chest. You can speed through and you can spam your Telekinesis onto the various targets. It also has the ability to, like I said, pick up gold. So you could scoop up the gold from far away. And you can also knock targets back with it, which is kind of interesting, but not super interesting. Let's see if we can find one. And it doesn't really do a really large amount of damage, even at higher levels. It's not particularly good on the damage. But it does have a small knockback effect, and it can be used to knock targets away from you, temporarily interrupting them, which does cause some things to happen. You can also open up your chest in town to Telekinesis, which is interesting. So you can open up your chest from pretty far away. I can't remember if you could talk to people. No, you can't talk to people. But, what you can pick up, like you can pick up, I'm pretty sure, keys.
Hello.
Pick up keys. Can't pick up gems, which is a little odd. You can't pick up jewels. But you could pick up, for instance, I believe it's Tome of Town Portal.
I can.
No? Just the scrolls, then. So the individual scrolls you can pick up, but not the tome. Potions, like I said, you can pick up potions. So those will go into your belt. I mean, it's useful to pick up some things at range, but it's not, like, super duper useful. What is the main purpose of Telekinesis, then? If all it really is a convenience, what is the main purpose of it? Well, it allows you to beef up Energy Shield. So it's important to note that it has a strong effect on Energy Shield's consumption rate. So let me go ahead and reset my points here real quick. And I want you to look at Energy Shield. Notice the part where it says mana consumed per damage is 200%. That means if I take 1 point of physical damage or elemental damage, it will be 2 points of mana. That is a terrible ratio. That is a 2-to-1 ratio, and that is awful. Every point in Telekinesis will allow Energy Shield to have a slightly better conversion rate. When you max out Telekinesis, you will notice that the conversion rate of Energy Shield goes down to 75% mana consumed per damage point, which means that effectively you are gaining, essentially, extra hit points. So 1,000 mana becomes more than 1,000 hit points, just simply because of the very excellent conversion ratio of Telekinesis. Now, how much damage Energy Shield absorbs is not part of this. So right now at level 1, it only absorbs 20%. And as you level it up, the absorption rate goes up. So, like for instance at level 23, we're at a 78% absorption rate. We also have a mana consumed per damage of 75% because we are, of course, using Telekinesis. So if you want to increase or rather decrease the mana that's being consumed by Energy Shield when you get hit, you definitely need to make sure that you beef up Telekinesis to get this done. Now, if I go out in the field now with this 75% conversion rate Telekinesis that is absorbing 78% of my current damage, in fact, let me put some points in strength so I can get this a little bit higher. because then I'll be able to use my equipment. And so now I have 82% absorption on energy shield, which is pretty sweet. So let's take this over to, I don't know, River Flame, and let's go get beat up, shall we? Now, as you can see, I'm getting wailed on, and the damage is being taken from my hit points, and it's being taken from my mana. And this is because I'm not absorbing all of it. I'm only absorbing 82% of it to my mana. So a small percentage is still making it through to my hit points. Because of the excellent conversion rate, I have a really nice amount of damage being taken to my mana. I would have run out of mana relatively quickly there if I was taking 2 points of damage per mana point, but instead I'm only taking the 0.75, which is definitely a hell of a lot better than 200%, which is absolutely great. So keep in mind that Telekinesis does have other purposes besides just simply being an annoying knockback skill that doesn't pick up items that you would want it to pick up. It can actually be used to beef up your Telekinesis, or your energy shield, to make it more useful. It actually gets to the point where you probably would prefer, if you were just using energy shield in passing, maybe as part of your build, you would probably want to make sure that you put more points into Telekinesis than you put into energy shield. And the reason for this is because the conversion rate is so bad on energy shield when it starts out that, I mean, if a monster did 1,000 damage to your HP, it would be converted to 2,000 damage on your mana, and you'd be out of mana like that. And getting it to the point where that 1,000 is instead converted to 750, so you're actually taking less damage to your mana than you otherwise would, it's very, very useful. It's also important to note that energy shield comes first in almost every calculation. There's only one skill that comes before energy shield, and I believe that's Cyclone Armor. So energy shield comes before your resistances even, which is a little bit of a downside, which does mean that when a monster hits you for 1,000 lightning damage, it's 1,000 lightning damage, not 1,000 minus your resistances applied to your mana pool. Now, when the damage hits your HP pool, when it bypasses your mana, when you run out of mana, or when, like for instance, if I'm only at 82% absorption, that means I still have 18% of that damage going to my mana. That 18% damage is going to my mana will be applied. The resistances will be applied to those, so it's important to note that. Not really sure there's much more to go over with Telekinesis. It's a really simple skill, and it does have some very interesting uses. I do believe that it has to be hard points to get the benefit from the effect here. So unless you have hard points in Telekinesis, you're not going to get the bonus. And of course, we could test that super quickly here. Let's just go ahead and put in multiple points here. So we have 1 point, 1 base point, and level 4. So if the plus to skills had an effect, it would be 6 times 4, which is of course 24, right? So negative 24%, but we are only at 194, which is just negative 6. So the hard points are the only thing that matter here. And it is important to note that to get it down to 100%, you need 16 points in Telekinesis. So at bare minimum, if you wanted to get the energy shield down to a 100% conversion level, which basically means that it's doing 1-to-1 instead of 2-to-1, 16 points is your bare minimum there. And then, of course, the extra 4 points is what gets you to the 75%, which is lower than 1-to-1. At that point, you're doing 1 to 0.75, which is a very advantageous ratio for your particular character. This video isn't about energy shield, though, so I don't want to go over too much about energy shield. We're going to do that in another video, and we're going to talk about energy shield in detail. As always, thank you for watching, and keep watching.